Here. Welcome back to Officially Unofficial, presented by Blue Wire Podcast. I'm your host, former face of junior college baseball, the Fall American Johnny Junta, and we're joined with maybe the most requested guest in the history of this show. He is the second-ranked prospect for the Philadelphia Phillies, first-round draft pick. Is that good? You tell me. A guy that I drove 9 hours for with no brakes on my vehicle to watch play. It's my guy, Bryson Stott. How are we, brother?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me, and it's been a while, but I'm here, so let's do it.
No, it's better late than never, honestly. I mean, we're bumping now. We're both buzzing. We're both pretty much almost in the show here, so we're just grinding. But I want to talk about the breaks for a second, because obviously that's a key part. People are probably going to say, what are you talking about? I've never told this story in the podcast. So when Bryson was playing at Williamsport, I believe I was like, all right, it's 8 hours from me. I guess I'll go. And I totally forgot, this is how dumb I totally forgot that my brakes on my car were, done. Like, they didn't work. So I drove 8 hours to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, no radio on, nothing, so I can make sure that my car wasn't going to break and I would have no brakes and die. So tell them your perspective of the story, because I believe you told me that you said you could hear me from down the road with the screech of the brakes. And honestly, I believe it, because the guy at the border was like to me, what are you doing, dude? So yeah, just give me perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you said you were coming, so me and my mom were like, all right, he's got no brakes though. So we're sitting there, we're like, all right, let's check on Johnny. Check on Johnny. He's doing fine. Brakes are working good. Literally a mile down the street, it felt like. All I hear is this screeching noise. I'm like, there's no way that's Johnny. There's no way that's Johnny. Finally pull in right in front of the house, and you just hear a lawnmower trying to start for the 15th time, and you can't even start it. That's how loud and obnoxious your car brakes were stopping in front of the house. It was the funniest thing I ever heard.
It was nightmare fuel, honestly. And if my mother actually heard about this, I think she'd come downstairs and beat the shit out of me, because honestly, just putting things into perspective, this isn't a light drive from Toronto to Williamsport. I'm driving through mountains. I'm literally driving. It looks like I'm in the desert or the rainforest driving to Williamsport, Pennsylvania. But I wanted to go into Williamsport here because obviously you're a guy from Vegas. You would have, if someone would have told you you'd be in Williamsport at some point in your life, you'd be like, what are you talking about, dude? So what was your experience in Williamsport, like a small town coming from UNLV, from Vegas, your hometown? I mean, that must have just been a crazy adjustment for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, growing up, you playing Little League, you hear about Williamsport. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be great. And then when I got assigned to Williamsport, I was like, Williamsport, we playing on the Little League fields. I didn't think there was anything there. I didn't, whatever. But I mean, the people were great. They loved their baseball, obviously, with the Little League World Series going on. And they actually kick us out for 2 weeks. They don't even want us there and ruining their show that they put on every year. So we missed the 2 weeks of the Little League World Series, and they get us out of there because they just want all the focus to be on that. So.
And I remember a funny time because when I came to visit you, I remember a funny time, you were getting legit bombarded with autographs. I thought I was hanging out with Drake. And I literally said to a fan, as a joke, I was like, you want me to sign something? And he just gave me a death stare. What are you talking? Who is this dude? That was just the funniest, because they're dialed in there, dude. Obviously you being the first round guy come in, and you said it last year, you have to take different exits and all that kind of stuff. But how crazy has it been for you so far throughout your career, being that kind of big dog in the minor leagues that everyone in the organization knows? Everyone knows who Bryson Stott is if you're a Philly fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, and obviously you want to sign as many as you can, but just to be able to have those teams be able to kind of maneuver you and do whatever it may be to make sure you're safe, the autographers are safe, and kind of everyone's working in unison and making sure you get as many autographs as you can done. And once that time's over, they do a good job kind of getting you out. So.
And let's go into before the draft, obviously. And we're going to go deep. We have the Cooperstown pictures behind me. Obviously, I was one of the greatest Cooperstown teams of all time. 0-9, minus 56 run differential. That was my team. You actually in Cooperstown have a crazy story that I don't know if you've told anyone. I could be wrong on this. Your Cooperstown team went to the finals. Is that correct?
Yep.
and give the people a little bit of a background story on what happened in the finals, because it's kind of a funny story looking back on it. Maybe not on the time, but looking back on it, it's a pretty funny story.
Yeah, I mean, the team I went with was we got up to number 5 in the country, and I mean, we were electric. It was guys throwing seemed like 1,000 miles an hour, and we had guys in Cooperstown hitting 20 homers, and it was crazy. And then so we're doing that, feeling good. We lose to the same team earlier in the tournament too. We only lost 2 games, and it was to the same team both times. So we're going lose to them in the league play, and we're like, what the heck? Like, we really just lost to those guys. So fast forward, we get to the championship. I mean, I hit a homer in like the second inning. We're feeling good, up 6-0, 5-0, whatever it was. We get to about the 5th inning. We're just all sitting there like, yes, we're gonna do this. And wow, here we go. Grand slam, homer, double, homer, homer. Next thing you know, we look up and it's 8-6, and we're like, what just happened? And then they bring in their guys throwing 1,000 miles an hour, and it was just, before we even knew it, there was 27 balls that went over the fence, and we were just kind of in shock and left the trophy in Cooperstown. So
yeah, that's an all-time meltdown. I mean, that's just nightmare fuel. That's something that like the Toronto Maple Leafs or something along those lines, maybe the Buffalo Bills would do. That's just an absolute nightmare fuel. But then obviously you go into UNLV, your high school year, and honestly, you kind of bursted out into the scene maybe like the sophomore, junior season. But I asked this to all my guests: what point in your college career, high school career, maybe in your pro career, did you kind of realize like, all right, I'm better than these guys that I'm playing with, or I'm better than the competition that I'm playing against, and like I have the potential to be a massive prospect?
I mean, I had a decent to good freshman college season, and so kind of just doing that, and then going to the Northwoods League, and I mean, I broke the hits record there, and had a really good summer out there, and I felt good. And then it was kind of like, all right, I think I want to do this, and that's when kind of everything changed. I was taking elective classes and one of my major classes, and just kind of really focusing that on baseball. And I mean, when people ask me what I'm studying or what my degrees, and I would literally say baseball, because that's what I wanted
True.
to do. And some of the classes I was taking, it was like, I just need these to get by. And I mean, they were all within what I could have taken. So it was, I mean, it was easy choice for me just to kind of focus on baseball and take it from there.
And but why UNLV? And obviously, we talk about this off the record and stuff like that. But a guy of your stature, obviously, you had looks at from University of Arizona. Is that correct? You had Arizona, you had other schools looking at you. But why was it UNLV for you? Was that did you want to like take the aspect of being that hometown kid playing for the team, being the superstar there, or was just that's something you've dreamed of since you were a kid?
I never wanted to go to UNLV. I mean, as you know, both my parents went to UNLV, and I mean, I was always a little rebellious child, and whoever they liked, I liked the opposite. So, I mean, I never wanted to go to UNLV, and I wanted to go to the Oregons and the Arizonas and the Fullertons, and seeing all the cool gear and all that stuff, like all the dumb stuff as a kid. And then I kind of got going and saw the clubhouse at UNLV, and got to meet the coaches and some of the guys and all that. And it, I mean, like you said, you're playing in front of your hometown, and you get your friends, your family, your classmates, like anybody, any given time could come out and watch you play. So that was a big thing to me. And I mean, like you said, it's my hometown, and I wanted to do something special for them. So.
And then then obviously, and in my opinion, when you kind of burst onto the scene was when you made Team USA. Where were you when you? And by the way, thank you for your service. And when did you realize that you like? When did you get the call you were playing on Team USA? And how was that like announced to you?
Ooh, let me see here. So it was probably maybe halfway through my junior year. Maybe a little more, a little less, give or take. But I mean, I had a really good junior year or sophomore year. End up leading the country in doubles, and I mean, I wasn't hitting that many home runs, and we had guys hitting 25 and 18, and I was just sandwiched in the middle, hitting 30 doubles, doing whatever I was doing. And actually, I was at DO watching my neighbor Cole play, actually, and I get a call like, Louisiana. Everybody's number in Louisiana that I have is saved, and it's Paul Maneri. It's like, hey, how would you like to play for Team USA? And go through all this convo?" And I'm like, yes. Obviously, I'd love to do that. Like, probably not what I should have said in that time, but yeah, I was at a baseball game, pulmonary calls, and um, rest is history.
And I mean that's just a banana stuff playing for Team USA. But is that when you kind of saw? Because obviously when you're playing in the UNLV, you're playing the Mountain West schools like the Renos, who everyone hates and stuff like that. And there's obviously not many like big time draft prospects there. There's not many like big time guys there. Was it with Team USA that you realized like, all right, like now I'm good. I realize how good I am. But these guys are freaks of nature. Like you're playing with Adley Rutschman, who's the number one prospect in all of baseball. So is that when you kind of got that understanding? Like, listen, I'm good, but you kind of got a reality check.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, going down to Cary, North Carolina, and going through all those trials, and there was like 10 of us that were already guaranteed a spot on the team, and then there was whatever you had the workout. So you had guys from, I mean, all the huge schools. I mean, it was the Power Five everywhere, and so once we got our team settled, the whole infield went in the first round. So I mean, Adley and Langoliers were the catchers, and then you had Josh Young at third, and me at short, and Braden Shoemake at second. Andrew Vaughn was at first. Some other guy was his backup. Spencer Torkelson was his backup. So it was like you had just an absurd amount of talent in these huge, massive schools. And I would take a step back and like, I go to UNLV, and these are my teammates who I'm turning double plays with, and that's kind of when I realized that, like, okay, maybe I am for real, and maybe I am going to do this. So.
And that UNLV team, I think, I don't know, was that your like sophomore season when you guys were just an absolute wagon? Like when you guys were, I think, nationally ranked at one point, right?
Yes, my sophomore year. That's when had Kyle Isbell and Nick Ames, and I mean, we started 20-2 and hit homers on homers, and I mean, I think we could have beat anyone in the country if we stayed healthy. So,
dude, let's talk about Kyle Isbell in college. I mean, this guy, and obviously your brother tells me stories about just the dumb stuff that he would do in the baseball field, where he would just go like 4 for 4 with 3 nukes. Was he one of, at that point, was he like the best player you've ever played with? Because obviously he's in the show now and he's just rakes and one of the biggest prospects of the Royals. But at that point, was that like the best player you've ever seen in person on your team?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when my senior year in high school, he was playing third base at UNLV, and I mean, I get there and they're moving him to the outfield and doing all that. And I'm like, what the heck? He's running in, the ball's going over his head. I'm like, this guy like was supposed to go to TCU or Texas Tech or wherever he was supposed to go, and he's here. Maybe that's why, because he's some of his routes. I was like, Lord, who is this? But just seeing the way he hits and the way he goes about what he does, and I mean, he's incredible. And I mean, obviously, he's not in the show for no reason, and he takes pride in that. And I mean, like my brother said, he's the goofiest kid. He'll go 4 for 4 with 2 homers, and then he'll ask me if we want to sleep in the clubhouse and play ping pong all night. I'm like, dude, you just went 4 for 4, and now you want to sleep on a couch in a clubhouse when we could literally just go home.
Is that something you've done?
I mean,
have you slept in the clubhouse?
Man. Yeah, all the time. Yeah,
that's nightmare fuel. I don't know how you do that.
The funniest one was I was actually with Isbell. It's like it's late at night. We're like, oh man, we're kind of hungry. Let's go to the 7-Eleven. And I mean, around UNLV is not the nicest part, so we didn't want to like leave the door open to our brand new building with everyone's stuff in. So we try to put this bat in the door. So we're like, all right, yeah, we'll be fine. Get in his car. We go, come back, and the bat is out of the door and it's sticking like straight up and down. Like not how we put it at all. Nobody was there. So we're like, oh my gosh, is there a ghost or what is it? So we're like, okay, how do we get in? Like his phone was in there, his wallet was in there, like I paid at the gas station, everything was in there. So we couldn't just leave. So we're like, all right, what do we do? So we grab one of those like metal benches, you know, like with the seat in the backrest. We prop it up to the balcony, and I'm standing at the bottom, like holding the wall as hard as I can. And Izzy's just climbing up this bench. Keep in mind, this guy's supposed to go in the top 3 rounds. He's climbing up this bench at 1 a.m. trying to get to our balcony. And I mean, he finally gets there, and he's got cuts all over his arm, and finally gets in, and we're all settled, and start looking around, see if there's anybody, ghosts or whatever it was. But I mean, he loves sleeping in that place. It was crazy.
I mean, that clubhouse is fire. And for people listening to this that don't like haven't seen the clubhouse and stuff like that, I actually had the privilege of going in there, working out, taking BP with the boys, and that place is kind of fire. And the most underrated thing about that weight room is you have a view of the whole Las Vegas Strip. Like that's the most underrated part. I mean, is that what sold you when you saw that view? Was that like, all right, I'm going to go to UNLV?
Yeah, I mean, just seeing the building in general, and then you see that, and you're like, whoa, like, yeah, this is where I live, and this is where I want to play. So, yeah, that was a big thing.
Dude, they got to put a disclaimer on at the UNLV parking lot because this is a little funny story, just an inside joke. I remember that whole week I had Keanu, our friend, Monique's. I had her car the whole week, like this brand new Jeep. And I was just honestly like, you were the responsible one. Me and Keanu were getting after it. And like, we would go for a workout the day after, and I had no idea like the speed bumps. And by the way, UNLV, listening to this, those speed bumps need to get fixed. I mean, I don't know what we're doing here. And I'm driving Monique's car on the speed bumps. Like I didn't see them, and I'm like going like kind of fast in the park, like 20, and I just go over a speed bump, and I just hear a thump, and I'm like, I think I just like totaled Monique's car. And Keanu was in the car. Those speed bumps are nightmare fuel. And I know you at that point, you had a Camaro. Is that right? I mean, you had to come and do a couple run-ins with those speed bumps at UNLV.
Yeah, I mean, those things are. I mean, I'm sure you could take a pedal bike and do a backflip off those. And
They're mountains.
I mean, I always mess with those people there and let them know that it's kind of ridiculous how unnecessary their speed bumps are. Considering I almost took my bumper off a few times, and obviously you got airborne in a Jeep, so that wasn't
Sorry,
good.
Monique. That honestly, like
Yeah,
that might
Monique,
be on me.
Monique, if you're listening, it's still right.
It was on me. If there's a problem with the bottom half of your car, I don't know who it was. It probably was me. I'm just gonna take ownership for it. But Keanu's a terrible influence. But dude, and I think that was the day. No, so for people to know, I flew down to Vegas to surprise you for the draft, which was an absolute nightmare because it was at like I think I arrived at like 10 p.m. and you were I'm pretty sure you were about to go to bed or something like that. And we had to like try to force you to stay up. And the guys had to force you to stay up to tell you that I was on my way there. But I wanted to go into draft day because obviously that's something that you kind of look like dream about since you're a kid and all that kind of stuff. I was lucky enough to be there for it. But what was it like from your shoes? Because you were obviously so nervous. I was looking at you and stuff like that. But what was your like thought process on draft day? And at what point were you like, I just want to get this over with, man? Because honestly, it's the most stressing thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's you kind of know and have that little area that you think you're going to fall in. And I mean, you were there, and I mean, Boris was calling me, and those guys over there were calling me, and they're like, all right, Giants at 10, Giants at 10, blah blah blah. So I'm like, all right, Giants at 10, like I don't even need to worry about it. So then it gets going, and I mean, you guys are going out and having fun, and I'm like, I try to go out, and like, man, I'm so nervous and stressed out. I just go home, and I mean, I probably could have enjoyed it a little more looking back on it, but I mean, like you said, it's a stressful time, and I mean, once the draft starts, it was Adley for. I mean, I could have wagered anything that he was going number one, so
Yeah.
I'm sure his draft party was great, or his draft day was great, and so then we're going, and it's Bobby and Andrew and JJ Bleday and Riley Green, and like the list goes on, and I'm like, okay. Oh, number 10's coming, perfect. And then I hear Hunter Bishop. Like,
Our
Hunter
guy.
Bishop.
That's my guy, by the way, legend. But yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, Hunter Bishop. So I text him. I'm like, hey, congrats, man. Like, I'm so like happy for you, and playing against him at Arizona or Arizona State, and I mean, we've become pretty good friends. And just texted him. I'm like, that was supposed to be me. I was just sitting behind there, like, man, I want to say this so bad. And then 11 comes, and it's the Blue Jays, and
I was pissed at that point. I was mad at
Yeah.
that point because they chose Alek Manoah. But I didn't realize how good he was. But I was like, I mean, what are we doing here? But yeah, anyways, keep going.
Yeah, so we get to the Blue Jays, and I'm like, I don't want to go to the Blue Jays. They got the guys are 18 years old, and they're hitting 40 homers in the show already. So we get there, and then we got the Twins, and I'm like, okay, the Twins, maybe. No, they had a pre-draft deal. Then we get to the Mets at 13. I'm like, all right, this is my time. This is my time. They had a pre-draft deal. I'm like, holy smoke. So then Scott calls me, and all I hear is 14th pick, Phillies are taking you.
That's it.
All right, sweet. Hang up the phone. So, I mean, then you get you watch number 12 happen, you watch number 13, and it's still like doesn't hit you because it hasn't happened yet. So like I probably didn't really relax until it was him saying my name, you guys cheering, and then looking back at the TV to make sure I didn't like mess anything up, so that I was like, that's when it kind of like all settled down.
Dude, and an underrated story from that draft day was like we all went outside to celebrate and you popped the champagne and all that kind of stuff. I was just an absolute clown show. I think I was hungover. I golfed with your brother the day before. And I do this like Stone Cold Steve Austin beer thing. And it just goes all over these like 12-year-old children at the draft party. Everyone's looking at me like, what's this guy doing? It was an absolute nightmare. But that draft day, man, was crazy to me. And it just goes to show you like how you never know where you're going to get picked. So did they give you an explanation of why you didn't go to the Giants, or like they just kind of told you like that was a team you thought you were going to 100%?
I mean, obviously it's a business, and I mean, stuff happens, and they kind of mapped out who they thought was going 1 through 9, and it was like literally all going as it was planned. And then there was a team in there that took somebody that kind of threw out their whack instead of taking Bishop. It was so and so. I can't even remember which team it was or who it was, but they were going to go Bishop and that whatever pick it was, and then that's where I was going to go. And then so that kind of happens, and Bishop slides down, and then I mean it's kind of a domino effect in a sense. And Will Wilson was picked right after me, 15, and I mean he was supposed to go a little higher, but like once one thing in the draft goes wrong for you, it's just like everything's going. It's crazy.
Dude, and you got drafted in a good year, because I think it was like 2 years after when they had that like pandemic draft where it was like guys are signing for $20,000 and stuff. So I mean, you picked a good time to get drafted. Just shout out Shauna for that. And before we go into other stuff, I want to wish or give happy birthday to Brianna and Brennan, your siblings, obviously. And by the way, it's just like how do you feel like left out that you're not born like within this week range when they're both born?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like a little trend that the birthdays are all kind of near each other. My mom's in January, my dad's in April, and then there's me, the kind of rebellious kid, in October. So I mean, my mom always jokes and says that that's me. I'm obviously the opposite of everyone else. So
Yeah, no, it's electric. It's such an electric birthday week.
fun.
And shout out Brennan, by the way. But anyways, I wanted to go into the next thing. Obviously, you get into pro ball, and I don't know if many people know this, but I'm pretty sure your first career at bat was a nuke. Am I right on that?
Yeah, first swing.
I mean, and then I'm pretty sure Bryson Stott was trending in Pennsylvania at that time. I mean, it was just banana. I think we got a text in our group message. It was like, I think Bryson just left the crib, and it was your first game. So I mean, going from UNLV to there, and you're facing like big league, or not big league guys, but you're facing like actual pro pitchers and stuff like that. All these guys have good stuff. What was like the biggest adjustment that you had to make at Williamsport? Because I believe you were struggling a little bit at the start of that. Is that correct when you're at Williamsport?
Yeah, so I go. Actually, it's a funny story. I go to the GCL for 10 days or whatever, and so I have 6 to 7 days just practicing. Finally getting the game, I'm like, oh, this is sweet. First pitch, ball. I'm like, all right, it's this guy's huge, 6'7", throwing 98. I'm like, holy crap, I never seen this before other than Ryan Jensen at Fresno State, who obviously I didn't have very much success against. So I was like, okay, let me just imagine this Ryan Jensen. So I get in there, it's 1-0. I'm like feeling sexy. Throws me a fastball right down the middle. I hit a homer. So I hit a homer there, first ever professional swing. Then I go like walk, base hit, double, triple, walk. Like it was crazy. I was on base 8 straight times or whatever it was, with hits and walks to start my professional career. Then I go to Williamsport, and I'm talking to this reporter, and he's like, "Are you excited? Like, are you going to start your Williamsport journey off with a homer?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to try." Like, just being like a dumb saying, "Yeah, I'm going to try. I'll try that for you." Then I hit a homer there, my first swing. Same thing, fastball, ball, homer in Williamsport. Feeling good again, get another hit that game, and then it kind of started going the opposite way. It was started swinging at stuff I never swung at and never hit well. So it was kind of just learning how to get out of those little funks faster than I did in college, considering you played Tuesday and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I mean, in the minor leagues, Monday through Sunday sometimes. So you get, I mean, 50 at bats stack up, and it seems like the blink of an eye. Where in college it took you a little bit to get to 50 at bats. So the quicker you can kind of get out of those funks is the biggest thing I had to learn.
And one thing I forgot to mention, this is how I know you're my guy and you're a marketing genius. So you started this kind of not a trend on Twitter with our guy Amir Garrett. And I honestly, and it's actually mind-boggling me. I just love the internet because people thought you were like serious when you tweeted this. Was the ranch on ice cream? So I wanted to go into that for a second because I was mind-boggled that like people like MLB Pipeline tweeted everything, tweeted it, that you legitimately actually did this on your ice cream. So let's debunk the rumor. You obviously don't do that, but let's go into the context of the story. Like, how did that even start?
Yes, I mean, I obviously do not do that. I did try it. It was horrible, but I do not do that religiously. It was, so we're playing either Fortnite. It had to be Fortnite. That was kind of when it was all
Yeah.
popular. And I mean, for you people listening that don't know, my brother plays on the first story, and he plays right next to the kitchen, and I play upstairs in our game room. So Amir's playing with us. I run downstairs, and I'll either hear my brother say, "Hurry up, hurry up," and I'm scooping this ice cream, and in Fortnite, the bus is going, and I can hear Amir through my brother's headphones. He's so loud and obnoxious. He's screaming at me to get upstairs, so I'm like scooping it, and I just see the ranch sitting right in front of me. I'm like, "I'm putting ranch on my ice cream. Shut up!" And he goes, "Wait, did I just hear that?" And then so I'm just doing it. Have my bowl, put it to the side, and I scoop a little bit, put ranch on it. I send him a picture, and within 30 seconds, it was on Twitter, and I was just getting, I mean, kind of hate mail in a sense that I should fire my taste buds.
Yeah,
But I
no,
really don't do that.
that was electric. Like I remember that. I was like, all right, like this is how you know baseball Twitter is like there's a lot of people that just don't have a clue because they legitimately thought you actually do that, which is just the most crazy thing of all time. Doesn't make any single sense. But and you mentioned Amir. I mean, what's the kind of influence that like Amir's had on your career so far? Because obviously, just a guy like you, I mean, he played in Las Vegas, all those kind of things. Like, what advice has Amir given you so far, like throughout your career?
Yeah, I mean, he's awesome, and I mean, kind of the same thing. He just says, "Have fun and be you," and you'll kind of see and start to get the feel and the flow of the game. And once you find that kind of good feeling, just kind of roll with it. And obviously, the people that watch him pitch, he's very emotional and really loves to compete and loves to win. So, kind of him saying like, once you find that flow of competing and doing well, it kind of all flows together.
And then this is what I had to bring up here because this is the most electric thing of all time. I'm obsessed with the futures game. Obviously, I couldn't go last year to yours, but where were you when you got the call to the futures game? Like, obviously, you told us a little bit earlier, like you just told all your family and all that kind of stuff. But when did you find out that you were gonna be on the futures? Because that's like a sick accomplishment. Like that's one of the biggest accomplishments you can make in the minors.
Yeah. So I was in Reading. Actually, I was walking over to hit, and for the people not listening, in Reading, Pennsylvania, there's the locker room, and you have to walk through the concourse, and then you have to go to the cages. So I'm walking. Our manager, he's like, "Hey, Stott, come here. So and so's on the phone." I'm like, "Oh, great. Like, what did I do now?" I wore red cleats. I'm doing everything how I'm supposed to. I have red socks on at BP. Like, I'm doing everything. Like, what does he want? And then I just get this like weird, am I going to Lehigh Valley? I had no business going to Lehigh Valley at the time. I mean, I was hitting fine, but I wasn't like,
Yeah.
so I'm like, I'm not going to Lehigh Valley. What could this mean? And he's like, "Did you go out last night?" I'm like, "Nope, in bed by 10 o'clock as usual." He's like, "Well, I hope you had a dream about the futures game because that's where you're going." So it was kind of just like this whole like build up to the phone call and them telling me that. And I mean, obviously I wasn't allowed to go put it on Twitter or whatever it may be. And that's when I texted you guys and texted my family. So people would start making those arrangements and to get out there.
And how was that futures game like? I mean, what was that experience like? You're pretty much living that big boy lifestyle. You're playing in a big league park, which was, I believe it was at Coors. Yeah, it was at Coors. And you're literally playing the best talent in baseball, like in the minor leagues. Bobby Witt's there. Brennan Davis is there. All these freaks of nature are there. So what was your experience like? Because you got spoiled with stuff too. You had a bed full of like gear and stuff too. It was electric.
Yeah, I mean, it was it was great, and I mean, a lot of those guys I've played with and or played against. So that was the coolest part to me was being able to see Bobby and um, Adley again and Torkelson and Max Meyer was there and kind of meeting the new faces that I maybe haven't played against. So being able to do that and kind of just being in the dugout for those last 4 innings or 5 innings that I didn't play, just to sit back there and be like, whoa, like we're here. And then you get Brendan Davis hitting 2 homers and people just launching balls and throwing 104 and doing all that type of stuff. And you're like, wait, I'm not just watching this anymore. Like I'm here, I'm in the game. And sometimes you just take a step back and you're like, whoa, like this is what I do now. And I mean, the crowd was full and loud, and Philly fans they were there and they were loud, and it was awesome, and it was a great experience for sure.
Was that the most nervous you've ever been for like a first AB in a game?
Um, I mean, I wasn't as nervous as I thought I was going to be since I got the first ground ball of the game. But when I went to throw it, it was like my arm just felt like I just cooked spaghetti for 20 hours and it was like mushy. Like I went to throw it and I was playing second and it like barely got to first. And I was like, holy crap. So then I finally go hit and I mean, I was pretty nervous and I actually told my brother I'm going to see a lefty and a guy with a splitter. I guarantee it. First at bat lefty, second at bat guy with a splitter. So I kind of put that on myself, but I mean, obviously you want to get hits and you want to do all that, but it was just fun being out there. So
yeah, the futures game's electric, and I mean, Brennan Davis, our guy, 2 nukes. What was it like being like seeing that firsthand? Because obviously his swing is so compact. Like I don't think he's really known for. I could be wrong with this. I don't know if he's like legitimately known to be like a home run hitter. He's kind of like the speed finesse guy. But what was it like seeing a guy in the futures game just launch twice for no reason? I mean, it was crazy when I got the notification.
yeah, it was crazy for sure. And I mean, if you were to tell him after his BP that he was going to hit 2 homers, he would have probably like wanted to punch you because, I mean, he was like, bro, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't hit. Like he was losing it in BP. I'm like, oh no, don't worry about it. It's just a pitcher. Like, I mean, you got to blame it on someone else, right? Like, you got to hype these guys up. And then he goes and hits 2 homers. So I told him I'm just going to start taking BP like he did, and maybe I'll start hitting 2 homers in the games.
Good for him. I mean, and then, dude, we gotta go into the fall league because the fall league is just, in my opinion, that team that you were on was the most electric team of all time. You had our guy Lug Bauer, you had Kanan Smith, the GOAT, and then you had Ohapi. So it was just a family affair of friends of the show on that team. Was that team had to be one of the most fun teams of all time, right?
Oh yeah, that team was a blast, and obviously Ohapi being there, and some other guys with the Phillies, and then you kind of, I mean, you better get meeting these people quick because you got 2 months with them, and so we started hanging out with the Pirates guys, and then we went over to the Braves guys, and then like everybody kind of just circled around meeting each other, and I mean, obviously you know how life goes, you start hanging out with certain people more and doing that, so hanging with Kanan and Lugbauer and kind of those guys was awesome. And I mean, you want to talk about guys that could hit, that team was incredible.
Dude, and there's a funny story. I think Lugs told us this on the podcast when he hit that home run to tie it. And people don't know this. I think he hit like was it a grand slam or a 3-run nuke?
Yeah, grand slam.
So he hit a grand slam, and obviously it's in the dog days of summer. You guys just played a minor league season, and you guys have to go to this Arizona Fall League, which is fine. And Lugbauer, I think, said he hits a grand slam, and you could hear the moans from the dugout, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, we have to stay here for 2 more weeks. So, I mean, what was like when you guys saw that grand slam, was it like, all right, this is sick, but I'm not going to be able to go home maybe for like another 2 weeks or whatever it was?
I mean, obviously everyone out there was wanting to win, and we had to like go through these scenarios. Like we had to win out, and Glendale had to lose twice to so-and-so. Like it was crazy stuff that like literally had to happen. So we're losing, like, but if we lost one game, we were out. So we're like, oh man, like we're literally out now. And then you just hear this crack of the bat and the batter's eye, and you're like, oh my gosh, he just really tied this game. So we go on to win that game, and then we're like, all right, screw it, guys. We're already here. And Lugbauer, I think Lugs is like pissed off that he just broke the batter's eye for some reason. So we knew that. We were all just giving him crap, like, way to go, Luck Bauer. Like, look what you did now. So we have like 3 games left, and we're like, all right, well, we might as well win it now. So go out there and 10-1, 8-0, 10-2. Like, we were just obliterating these teams. And the last game of the year, they tell us, like, we have to win and somebody's got to lose. So we're like, all right, let's do it. 8-0 in the 5th inning. We're like, we're going to the championship now. Like, we better win, and we're getting rings and all this stuff. And come to find out, they kind of got the scenarios messed up. So no matter what we did, we were out. So we were like, we get to the locker room, we're like, are you got to be kidding? Like, we just did all that to not even have a chance at all to make it. From Monday to Saturday, we couldn't have made it. So we went 5-0 for
No
just
reason.
to have fun, I guess. Yeah, they messed up the scenario. So,
Dude, that was just an incredible story. Dude, the thing is, and not many people know this about you either. You were in big league spring training last year, and one thing that, obviously, you're my guy. I was rooting for you. You're going up against my guy, my closer, Toronto Blue Jays closer, Jordan Romano, who might be one of the best closers in baseball. I mean, this guy's a freak of nature, psychopath on the mound, and you launch against him. I mean, what was that about like to face you're facing the literal closer of the Toronto Blue Jays, and you've only had 1 year pretty much minor league experience. What was your thought process going into that at bat? Because I think he has a nasty, I don't know what pitch he has that's nasty. I don't remember, but I mean, what was that at bat like?
yeah, I mean, I've faced him a few times that spring, and I mean, he punched my ticket every time. So I was like, all right, he throws 100, he's got a slider, he's got a curveball. I'm like, all right, here we go. First pitch I get in, I'm like, whoa, that's still 100. Like, he's still out there throwing 100. So I go through the whole at bat. I foul some stuff off. I foul the 3-1 pitch right off the catcher's face. I'm like, all right, I'm not missing this fastball that he's throwing me 3-2. And I want to say he threw me a slider or a cutter, something of that sort. And it was kind of like a sigh of relief that I didn't have to catch up to 100. And I mean, it was still 90, 91, 92, but I mean, he's got nasty stuff. And I mean, I hit a homer off him, but I think he might have punched me out 5 times that spring. So
No, but the thing is, though, the home run was on TV. So, I mean, because obviously everyone got to see it. So, I mean, technically, in a lot of the Phillies fans and your friends' mind, you're 1-for-1 with a nuke off Jordan Romano. Because I think those were on backfields, right? The strikeouts?
They would be on like their kind of stadium, but yeah, like you said, there was only a couple of games here and there on spring training. So, I mean, if you guys didn't see it, it didn't happen. So.
Yeah, exactly. No one saw the punch out. You're 1-for-1 against Jordan Romano with a nuke. And another guy you faced that is one of the most intimidating human beings of all time, and he used to always tell us used to face him, was Aroldis Chapman. I got to bring up this guy. What's it like going up in the box against a man that's literally nicknamed the Cuban Missile? It's like one of the most intimidating nicknames of all time.
Yeah, the guy is massive. Like, TV doesn't do him justice. His pants, like, literally were like up to here. Like, I mean, I'm not short, but like his pants, like, I felt were in my rib cage. Like, his legs are like tree trunk. Like, he is a massive human being. So I'm like, all right. Nobody wanted to hit off him. First of all, we were kind of just. It was the funny story is it was actually the last game before they shut down with COVID. So we were in Tampa playing them. We had some like veteran guys that are like, I'm not hitting Aroldis Chapman right now. We didn't hit in the cage. So I'm like, screw it. I guess I'll do it. So I go up and right after Alec Bohm, he hits like a 3-hopper right to him. I'm like, oh, geez. If Bohm looks like kind of uncomfortable, like, I don't even want to know what he's going to do to me. Throws me a first pitch slider. I'm like, whoa. Like, I was geared up for 100 and I see a first pitch slider. And so next pitch, I hit a fastball to left center, and I thought it was a hit. I think he thought it was a hit too. He kind of walked off the mound like pissed. And then he looks back because he hears the catch. I'm like, shoot. But this guy, he spits. Like, you guys seen his spit. Like, when he's walking around the round, he spits. And I'm not kidding. It was like the most like projectile like spit I've ever seen in my entire life. And that was the craziest thing to me, is how like much distance and how much. Oh my gosh, it was crazy.
It's you don't realize it. There's a couple guys in the league. Like, does he like grunt when he throws, or is he just naturally throws gas? Like, is there like a grunt when he pitches? Because a lot of guys actually do that on the bump.
It's not like a grunt. It's kind of just like he knows he throws 112, so it's like I wouldn't even say it's a grunt, but he does make a noise.
Yeah, no,
So I couldn't even replicate the noise.
I don't know how people do it. I really don't know how you guys go in the box against these guys. But the second last thing I want to bring up is obviously I would like to admit myself that I'm a pretty big golfer. You're a pretty big golfer. Your golf game, I haven't golfed with you in like 3 years, but I'm assuming your golf game's got way better, like you said it has. Where would you rank, like, for instance, when you're playing with other guys on your team or other guys in the system, where would you rank your golf game? Like, where are you at right now? You in the middle? You good? You bad? Like, where are you at?
I mean, I'd say I'm in the top. I'd say I'm in the tier 1 group now. We have 4 tiers that we play with, and we'll go play tournaments and stuff like that. But I'm for sure in the tier 1 group now that my 60 degree is kind of locked in. So, but some of these pitchers, man, I think they can play on tour. It's incredible. They're they do whatever they do and go golf 36 holes in a day. So, I mean, I'd stack well against them though.
Who's the best guy in the Philly system, or the best guy in the minors that you've played against?
Oh, we have a pitcher, Ethan Lindau, who's really good. And he'll hit some shots, and you're like, whoa. The hitting coach in Reading, he's actually super good. Some of the coaches and coordinators are actually sneaky good at golf, and when they come in, they'll go play, and it's like 74, 77. It's like, what are you guys doing? You just hopped off a plane, and now you're shooting a 72 on, like, some of these guys are really good.
Yeah, and then I actually, this is the second last thing I want to bring up, because obviously you post videos of your swings and all that kind of stuff. Did you change something to do like a toe tap now? Is that something that you just started?
No, that was so in last year in 2021, big league camp. I had 28 at bats and struck out 17 times or something crazy. I felt great. My leg kick felt great. My swing felt great, but I would go back and I'm like missing the ball by literally this much. Like, I was just late. So I couldn't get my foot down. So my hitting coach in Reading was like, hey, let's go to a toe tap. Because I would do the toe tap off the machine, could try to get my timing better. So I would do that. And he was like, let's go to the toe tap. So then I start raking the machine like crazy. Never hit the machine like that. Because I was like more focused on my toe tap instead of just hitting the ball. So I take it in a game, take it into spring training, minor league spring training, have some success with it there. And I mean, I kind of just ran with it. So
yeah, no, yeah, the toe tap's electric. It's like you're doing like a little, like, I don't know if you're doing a stanky leg when you're at the plate, but it is just I love the toe tap. I think it's way better, and it just looks way cooler, especially being a left-handed hitter and all that kind of stuff. And obviously we mentioned, and obviously I might get roasted for even asking you this, but you hit a lot, and you're close friends with like the biggest guy in baseball, MVP Bryce Harper. What tips has he given you to like kind of be like, to improve yourself throughout your minor league career? Because he flew through the system. I don't even think he was in the system for more than 2 months. But what's a couple things that he's taught you in like your swing or your approach, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a big kind of routine guy, and going and making sure you're doing your stuff and making sure your stuff feels right. And I mean, the biggest thing for me is that he tells me is to have fun and kind of like Amir says, just go and compete. And I mean, I'd say the biggest thing I've learned from him is kind of getting that routine down and knowing my swing and knowing my body, and my swing is different from his. And I mean, I've spent hours on hours growing up watching his swing because I wanted to swing like him. I would hit with his dad. His dad would throw me BP in high school and college, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna hit like Bryce. I'm gonna hit like Bryce. But there's one Bryce Harper, and there's one Juan Soto, there's one Vladdy Jr. Like, everyone's swing is going to be different, and there's going to be similar stuff. Like, we have a lot of similarities and stuff, and so I'll call him if I'm ever in a little funk and getting out front and stuff, and he'll give me a little tip here and there. And I mean, he's just an awesome person to have, and obviously Philly loves him, and he loves Philly, and the Philly people are amazing. And I mean, it just works so well together. So
Yeah, it's an electric duo, you two, and then the Philadelphia Flyers have to figure it out. By the way, I mean that team has lost me an uncomfortable amount of money. I don't know what that hockey team is just sickening to me. I don't know what's happening, but whatever. The Phillies are figuring it out. But this is the last thing, and obviously you hate to get sentimental with this stuff, but you're getting awfully close to making that making that debut. Is that something that you kind of like think about a lot? Is that something like have you played out in your mind to kind of prepare yourself when it happens or whatever? Like where are you at right now in your mind, like with that debut coming sooner than later, whenever it's going to happen? We don't know when it's going to happen, but like, is that something that you kind of think about just to kind of ease the nerves when it does happen?
I mean, obviously, think about it. That's always your goal when you're playing and growing up. But I mean, I just know that if and when maybe that day comes, I mean, you're not going to stop those nerves and that excitement. And I mean, you play this game from when you're 4, and you want to, like, this is your end goal, and you want to do that. And I don't think there's anything I could say or do to kind of replicate that. And it's kind of the same thing, like the first at bat of the year. It's like you can never psych yourself out enough to like get that first at bat of the year over, and kind of just go in and have a good game. And I mean, everyone's got those nerves no matter where you're playing. It's that first game. So I mean, trying to replicate something of that statue and that how big that day would be is probably impossible. So,
And I'll say this, and obviously the first time I met you, I believe I was visiting Vegas on spring break, and me and Keanu were at the casino at like 3 a.m. And by the way, Keanu, terrible influence. I mean, I didn't even know what a casino was at that time. Obviously, I was young. And Keanu gets me on the table. We're ripping, and it was like 3 a.m. and you come pick us up, and you are bumping. And by the way, this is right when More Life came out. I don't know if you remember this. You were bumping More Life, and that was the first time I met you. I was like, this guy is a dog. But anyways, man, I'm so fired up to see what happens this year with your debut, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully, it's by the time you guys come to Toronto, but we'll see. It's been a long time coming. I'm fired up. We got you on. The people needed it. The people wanted it. But like I said, dude, I'm pumped for you. I can't wait for it. I'll be there, and can't wait for it to happen. And I'll do a shoey on your debut. I've never made a promise like this before. I will do a shoe luge. I will drink a beer out of my shoe on your debut to get the people going. I'm pumped for you, Bryson, and it's going to be sick to see what you do this year, man. I'm fired up.
Appreciate it, man. Man, I can't wait to see you, and I mean, I can't wait to see that shoe chug or whatever you call
Shoey,
it.
yeah.
Yep, that's a promise, and I mean, someone will have it on video, I'm sure. So
there it is, man.